It's like you citing yourself. Come on.
Hassan, you're missing the point here that Kelsey, right, changed her story. She went in and did an interview with actually the prosecutors, not even law enforcement, which is another big red flag. But she went ahead and did an interview.
Wait, say that. What's the red flag? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
She did an interview with the prosecutors with no law enforcement there, which is a huge red flag because prosecutors are not supposed to be direct witnesses in witness testimony when you're doing a criminal investigation. There's supposed to be an investigator there. And the reason why there wasn't an investigator there is because the lead detective, Stogner, right? He has
no. You can definitely have prosecutors directly question witnesses. Wait, what?
You need an investigator there. They can't be the only witnesses because they're the ones prosecuting the case. It's a conflict of interest. You need a sworn law enforcement officer there conducting.
Most of the prosecutors are literally law enforcement officers, pretty much functionally. So I don't know. Like you're making it seem like they're operating on different teams here.
Yes, they do work together. However, you need an agent, a detective, some type of police presence there to do the investigation and to do the interviews, bro. And that's
can I just address something really quickly? I love chat being like, no black voices. Hassan didn't want a black voice in that circumstance, bro. No jumper. Adam 22's operation. We're calling that a black voices now. Really, Halo Boom? Is that what you're saying in the chat? Dumbass. Shut the fuck up. Well, meme rapper.
The point I'm trying to make is there's problems.
Want to be meme rapper, motherfucker? Okay, sorry, go on.
There's problems with Kelsey's situation because, number one, she was interviewed by prosecutors only. There wasn't an investigator there, which is a problem in itself. And then second, she switched her story up. She said, hey, Tory did X, Y, Z and, made him criminally culpable. And then when she came in to testify, she immediately took the fifth.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And then her defense attorney said, we need immunity. They tried to get immunity where she'd be covered all the way, but they were only able to get use immunity because obviously to get transactional immunity, which would be her protected all the way, that is very difficult to get. You would need a DA signature to get that. And obviously they're in the middle of a trial. They don't have time to go back to the DA saying, yo, we need the signature. So we're like, listen, we'll give her use immunity. We're on the record. We're not going to prosecute her. That's when she felt comfortable to go ahead and testify after that, pretty much. So if she wasn't culpable, why would she fight so hard? Why would her defense attorney fight so hard to get her use immunity, bro? You can only take the fifth, right? You can ask any attorney this. Any defense attorney will tell you this. You can only take the fifth when you might be giving testimony that might incriminate yourself. But if you're not necessarily giving testimony that's going to incriminate yourself and other people, then you're compelled to testify. That is why Gunna cannot assert the Fifth Amendment privilege if they call him to testify in the YSL trial. If they're going to call Gunna on, and he cannot claim Fifth Amendment. He will have to testify. That is a part of his plea deal.
Yep. If he breaks that.
So,
and
I can't speak on why.
And in Kelsey's best interest, if she says anything, which they already told Tory, if he says a statement, shit like this won't happen to her. So she can go to jail for what happened, whatever was set up. I don't know, but they using this chance. I don't know if Meg was on something. I don't know if she was on something, or all three of them was on something. Who knows what the fuck was going on? But the fact that can happen, that's just wild. So the system is rigged, and you can't do nothing about it. Besides expose it.
She wanted to, why she no longer wanted to offer her testimony, okay? She did get granted immunity, I'm pretty sure. Not the full-blown immunity if she was like to go up on that stand and be like, I actually shot someone. I was the one who shot Megan Thee Stallion, then all of a sudden your case falls apart. Of course, the prosecutor's not going to fucking do that because someone could very easily fall out of favor with the victim, like Kelsey and Megan did, and then turn around and be like, you know what, actually, I'm the one who shot it, but guess what? You guys gave me the fucking immunity. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous.
She on the stand and said that, though, because they gave her use immunity, which means her testimony that was given in that circumstance could not be used against her. However, that does not mean that law enforcement...
Yeah, and yet she still didn't offer inconsistencies. She could have very easily said, I am here to tell my truth. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, and I was wrong originally. She didn't even say that.
Yeah, because she knew before she was lying. She got
immunity. But you just explained that she got immunity from the original lie that she had told. If you're claiming that she originally lied.
Yes, she originally lied, and she didn't want to give testimony because.
So you're admitting that she would not have been liable under perjury in that regard because she had gotten immunity to offer her true testimony in that circumstance.
No, what I'm saying is that she could have been found. There's a bunch of things that they could have hit her with. There's a bunch of charges she could have got hit with.
Like
okay,
what?
all right. Okay. I got it for you, buddy.
Shooting,
I got it for you. Hold on.
Megan Thee
Hold on.
Stallion?
Since you don't trust no jumper, I got my man. I think he writes L.A. Times. James Quealy. This is Kelsey on the stand. Our interview that they were trying to refresh her memory many times with. She says our interview was not 100% truthful. Does that make you feel good?
Okay.
Does that make you feel good, brother? She literally said, I'm not telling the truth.
No,
she said, whatever you're citing, I did not tell the truth. She basically said it and referred to it and kept almost looking at her lawyer to say, hey, if I answer this, am I getting fucked up legally? And they did many sidebars. That's just the reality of it. I got it.
Her interview not being 100% truthful, especially when there's additional.
You know what he's gonna do? He's just gonna cap and be like, "Well, anybody would not want to go to jail." But that's not the point. She's not telling the truth, and this nigga's been convicted of a crime that he did not commit. As far as like, we can like concur. But let's be honest, bro. Like her not saying nothing, and Meg lying previously, and they're not friends no more. And come on, bro. The gun residue wasn't found on him, but on her, a witness that saw two women fighting. Come on, bro. Too many evidence.
Circumstances involved in
you know.
there, like whether or not I'm not familiar if she got asked the question about the $1 million that like Tory Lanez offered them or something like that. But there are plenty of additional instances in that interview. You are the one who's inferring the parts that you believe is not truthful from that interview, and she still absolutely ended up getting.
Hold on. Wait. Remember, we're not trusting no jumper, but we definitely trust the L.A. Times. Harris says.
I trust the LA Times.
Harris says. Hold on.
Reporters.
Let me read it.
And
Harris says.
Yourself
wait. Let me just read this.
Got.
So it's okay.
So no jumper
forget no jumper.
And
forget no jumper.
Literally.
Okay, forget no jumper.
Okay.
Harris says she's struggling with postpartum depression, and a recent death in the family, and her mind isn't here right now. She also denied Lanez offered her hush money, which Megan alleged he did to the tune of $1 million. So she denied it.
The exact quote from her, by the way, wasn't an immediate denial. She literally said it wasn't exactly the way that was presented. I know what I'm talking about because I know what quote that was. The reason why we're bringing this up, by the way, is because she has postpartum depression now. She has a recent death in the family now. If anything, her evidence or her additional information that she's going to offer currently now and not back then is going to be less conclusive.
Wait, what about this one? Critically, she wouldn't confirm she saw Lanez with the gun, which she said in the recorded interview, or that Lanez threatened to shoot her. She won't confirm it in court. She's like, they ask her.
Yeah, that doesn't. Wait. What do you mean?
They ask her
that
verbatim.
Doesn't mean anything. She already.
Hold on. You keep referencing the interview, right?
She literally
in the interview.
Yes, because
in the interview she says, "Yo,
you and I both know." She went on the stand and said, "I can't recall anything. I have postpartum. I'm depressed. I can't recall anything," is basically what she said.
Okay, so in a court of law,
that doesn't mean that she fucking absolutely lied. That's the reason why they played the whole interview.
Wait. In a court of law, if any type of witness or victim can't recall their statements and can't even affirm to it, right? Keep in mind, she's now under oath. She already acted weird with the, hey, I needed like immunity of this and third. She can't co-sign the majority of what she said in a goddamn interview, right? You think that the jury should be like, okay, let's just believe her. Really? Come on, brother. Come on.
Well, first of all, the jury did believe her, ultimately. The jury believed Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, I think they believe Meg. I think they believe Meg, not her.
The jury also believed what she said originally, which is important to address in this circumstance. And the jury, of course, did not take into consideration that she pled the fifth, especially because she had the opportunity, given an immunity, to go back and correct the record and refuse to do so while simultaneously admitting that currently, right now, in this very moment, was not likely to give a clear-cut version of the events, considering her postpartum depression and a recent death in the family. That's what I'm stating. That's the reason why the jury deliberated in the way that it did.
Hold on. again.
But you're missing the point here, Hassan. See, here's the thing. Tory gets that Fifth Amendment privilege to not testify and not being used against him. Kelsey does not. Kelsey is a witness in the case. She's not the one on trial.
Okay, so yeah, I know, but you can still say some dumb shit or potentially think that you're incriminating yourself, or ultimately say you have the right to plead the Fifth, regardless.
Finish.
You have the right to plead the Fifth, regardless of whether or not you're actually incriminating yourself or not. You just have that right. That is a right that you have.
You're just rambling, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you, Tory gets the privilege of them not being able to judge him for taking the Fifth. Kelsey does not, because the Tory is the one that is accused. Okay? That is the reason why. So when Kelsey doesn't get that same Fifth Amendment privilege to that level as Tory, because he's the one that's actually being charged in a criminal case in a criminal court of law in the United States. So Kelsey doesn't get that, which is why she was like, I need immunity if I'm going to talk. Because she is compelled to testify. That is why she asked for immunity in the first place.
Look,
go ahead.
You said that you have to be guilty to plead the Fifth. That is not the case.
You don't have to be guilty. You have to be potentially liable, right, from a criminal standpoint to invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Yes, an innocent witness may validly claim the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. If you are an innocent witness, you can still plead the Fifth. That is precisely the reason why we look at pleading the Fifth as a right that people have and not as an indication that that person is somehow criminally liable, which is what you guys are doing right now. Okay? That the entire concept behind pleading the Fifth would be null and void if we automatically assumed that that person is fucking guilty every time they pled the Fifth.
No. Pleading the Fifth isn't an implication of guilt. However, if you have zero,
it seem as though
no. Well, I mean, one could take it as that, but if you have zero conflict with what's being asked of you when you're either subpoenaed and you're on the stand, you got to answer. You can't just magically say I plead the Fifth and then say the judge says to you or you and your attorney, hey, okay, let's figure out why you're pleading the Fifth, and you're like, no, just because I want to. They're not going to just be like, okay, you got it. Like, right
here, I'll tell you the Supreme Court decision that the justices made on this regard, because like people do plead the Fifth sometimes when they're innocent, or they might be afraid. Okay, of
we didn't say you can't be innocent, brother.
The criminal justice system is fucking ruthless, right?
Bro.
In the 2001 Supreme Court case, the justices noted that the right against self-incrimination provided by the Fifth Amendment in Ohio versus Reiner, the court case that I was telling you about earlier, okay, that the Fifth Amendment protects the innocent as well as the guilty. The court added that a witness may have a reasonable fear of prosecution and yet be innocent of any wrongdoing. The ruling noted that innocent people might be ensnared by ambiguous circumstances. So her right to plead the Fifth in this circumstance was given to her and was protected by the Supreme Court, specifically for situations exactly like the one that she was entangled in.
Okay, so by your very definition,
fearful. She could have very easily been fearful
of prosecution. So fearful of prosecution. Now, granted,
yes,
right? Okay,
committed crimes.
So
no. But you're still doing that.
If you're fearful of prosecution,
remember, you're still doing that. You're still claiming that she is guilty because she pled the Fifth.
You probably feel like you want to punch.
If you're saying she's fearful of prosecution,
so I'm not surprised that you think that. But anyway, let's go on. Let's move on.
If you're saying she's fearful of prosecution, right? You're literally alluding to the fact that maybe something that she did or could say would be in some realm of maybe being able to either the DA could pick up a charge on, right? We're not saying she's guilty.
It doesn't even matter, though. It doesn't matter because what matters is what she felt in that moment.
Bro,
if she feels
no,
she could be ensnared.
Ain't no you feel. You better tell the truth despite how you feel.
Any
you're in fucking court. You're not being prosecuted, so why would you plead the Fifth if you're not being prosecuted unless it leads to a prosecution?
Reason whatsoever, she has the constitutional right to be able to plead the Fifth in that regard. That's it.
It's a right.
And that's what she did. She exercised.
It's got to be for a right, for a reason.
Hassan, do you not see that she was the prosecution's star witness and that is problematic?
Problematic.
So, An opening
I do feel like the star witness was probably the person who survived getting shot, but she was a witness. Yes, she was one of the big witnesses in that regard.
But here's the thing: that's Meg. Meg is obviously the victim, so that's going to be a witness in itself. But I'm talking about the prosecution star witness from from an unbiased standpoint, according to them,
and
Kelsey.
And it would have been the only person to have allegedly seen Tory pull the trigger.
Yeah, when you get shot, you are a little biased. That's true. But, you would probably be biased against the person who shot you. In this case, if you claim that it is Kelsey, then she should probably be biased towards her, right?
What? No, what I'm saying is that the prosecution in opening statements used Kelsey and said, Kelsey's going to come in here and weave together all our evidence. They were relying heavily upon what? A jail call, a text message, okay? And then also Kelsey's testimony. That's what they were weighing heavily on. And then for everything to make sense and come together, they needed Kelsey's testimony. So when she gets on the stand and takes the Fifth Amendment as the prosecution's main witness, mind you, that is problematic.
Well,
because you know why? When they ask her questions that can lead to anything, and she says she doesn't want to talk about it, does not leave open to that, like there may be more. And she's if Tory Lane shot her, she could just say, hey, yeah, he shot me, and that's it. You're done deal. He's being prosecuted here. You're not you, so nah.
She, like I said, originally did allow this entire thing to come together with her testimony. The text messages are also pretty damning too, like saying
she said she lied.
911, Tory shot her, Tory shot Megan.
But she lied. She said it wasn't.
Why do you think she texted that? And then also gave corroborating evidence to that, and we're hyper focusing on like her pleading the Fifth, which is her constitutional right to do so for any reason. You know what I mean? Like she could just do that, which she did. She exercised that, but we just refuse to think about why she texted that. We don't think about why Tory apologized to every party involved. We're not looking at any of those instances, and only focusing on instances that you can draw reasonable doubt out of.
You're making the inference that the apology is for. You're making the inference that the apology is for the shooting, while you're definitely absolving the reason why she would say I'm not taking a stand. Period. Unless as soon as she got on the stand, she said I'm pleading the Fifth. It's not that she was asked anything as soon as she got there. But so you want to make the inference that the apology from Tory, which was innocuous, honestly, didn't say what he's apologizing for. Say I'm sorry. That's all he said. But you're saying that's for the shooting. But when it comes to her,
so wait, you think he's apologizing because like an altercation happened where like Kelsey shot Megan, right? That's what you were claiming.
No,
like, you think that's a normal thing to apologize for?
He's been the person who has added the gas to the whole situation for the shooting.
Because like, look, if I was involved in a situation, a love triangle, as you claim, right? And the girl that was with me shot the other girl, I would not text like, I'm sorry to everyone involved. I'd be like, that was crazy. Remember when that bitch shot you? That was wild, right? Like, that's what I would text.
That's what you would do, Hassan.
Normal humans would text in that situation.
Hassan, you're operating on 20/20 hindsight. You got to remember, these are women. They're emotional. They're drunk. It's late at night. They just trying to go ahead and get with Kylie Jenner. Obviously,
I'm gonna be honest. I think Tory Lanez was very emotional. I think like
you can say that. That's fine. But my point is,
he was drunk too and emotional.
And right,
shot Megan.
Kelsey, right? He exposes Meg Thee Stallion for having sex with men that she had originally hooked up with Kelsey. So that is how the argument ensued. So we don't know definitively if he was apologizing for shooting or for putting out Megan.
I know, but don't you think that that's like a much bigger thing that you would mention? You'd be like, that was crazy when Kelsey shot you, right? Because only one person said.
That would be foolish to do that.
One person shot another person.
I mean, he's not going to sit there and be like, yo, that was crazy that Kelsey shot you. No, he's going to say, yo, if he apologizes.
Really? You wouldn't. So you're in a situation, you're in a love triangle. You get a lot of women, right? I feel like.
Yeah. Also, he's in custody.
Talk about it all the time. You're in a love triangle. It happens all the time. One of the girls shoots the other girl. You're going to be like, I'm sorry.
Yo, Hassan.
That's how it happened. You would be like, how fucking insane was that?
Hassan,
is crazy.
One of the conversations that he had, he's in custody.
Am I right? That's probably what you would say,
hold on.
right?
One of the conversations he had, he's in custody, and he's being recorded over the jail phone. Why the hell would he say? Why would the hell he would implicate somebody?
Why do you think Kelsey texted 911? Tory shot Meg.
So now you're moving off the argument. Are we talking about this or not?
I'm asking you. I legitimately want to know. Why do you think Kelsey originally texted that?
If you can see this this point because you're saying what the text from him should be. I'm telling you why it's not like that. He's in custody.
No, but tell me
Listen,
that. Tell me that.
Okay,
I want to know what you mean.
Okay, so
why do you think Kelsey texted 911? Tory shot Meg.
Okay, hold on. So by us moving to this, and I'm going to answer it. I'm feeling like you're conceding that other point because what you're saying would be idiotic if you know you're calling off of a jail phone to say, hey, isn't it crazy when you got shot by so-and-so? You might as well give a fucking statement. Okay, if you're conceding that because that's stupid.
Okay, so you think Tory was protecting Kelsey? That's what you're saying, right?
He's a rapper. He cannot snitch. That is career suicide. Of course, he's not going to go ahead.
If you concede that, I'll answer the other one. Because I have an answer for the other one.
For people robbing him.
Because
he can't do it.
Because he was a gang
put it like
related
that.
activity.
Okay,
He was the person
okay. Also, here's the
but
thing.
in the real situation,
Every
why
rapper
would I
that
wanna
gets
be in jail
caught
for 20
cooperating with the
years
police or
rainbow
snitching or
hair?
doing anything that might put someone else
And
in
put me
jail,
in jail.
their career is ruined. So of course,
I don't know if their career is
They
ruined.
ain't
They can
snitch.
still go on
He can't live in
DJ
America.
Academics'
He live in
broadcast like
Dubai.
Tekashi does all the fucking time. You know what I mean?
The facts here.
Yo, this guy just diverted on the. Yo, Hassan is like a troll, but he's like no enough troll. Yo, Hassan.
Yo, this guy isn't qualified to talk about the culture or anything like that, bro. Dude, your facts, bro, are non-existent, bro.
Like,
Are
you crazy?
Yo, I just want Hassan to admit that he be trolling.
I asked you a simple question, and nobody was able to answer this question.
Okay, what's the question?
It's a super simple question. It's so direct.
What's the question?
Why did Kelsey text 911? Tory shot Megan.
I'll answer. Hold on. I'll answer that
3v1
question.
now, by the way. Holy fuck.
I'll answer that question, but I'm going to just assume that because you diverted, you basically like you bowed out of that other point.
I mean, you can assume whatever you want to.
Now I'll answer that question.
I'm like genuinely interested in your perspective.
Okay, now I'll answer that question, but I really could just ask a question to answer, but I'll just answer myself. If I was the best friend of someone who just got in a drunken fight and I unfortunately shot at my best friend, okay, she got hurt. If I'm the closest person to her team, you think I'm going to text her team, hey, I shot Meg? Come on now. Would you text that?
So in that situation, you think a text message is necessary, right? Like you're saying that the text message is necessary. She's belligerent enough to fucking grab a gun, shoot Megan Thee Stallion, but then also somehow has it all together. I guess like the adrenaline kicked in and all of a sudden she's just like remembered the consequences of her actions and decided to very cleverly and devilishly text this ruse, even though Tory Lanez on Instagram comments has also said that Kelsey had not shot Megan Thee Stallion.
If he's being sarcastic.
So
okay. Clearly, so we're gonna Are we gonna hold?
That has never even been brought up.
Are we going to hold what Tory said on Instagram, which we don't even know if that's him controlling his page? We're gonna hold him liable for that, but we can't hold Meg liable for saying out of her own mouth a different story 5 times. We can't hold her liable.
It was used, from what I understand, when an LAPD detective Warren Eberhard took the stand to testify that Tory Lanez's verified IG account once commented on a theory that Kelsey was the shooter, saying that's not true.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad you said that. Now, this incident happened 2 years ago. They asked that same detective, when did you see that message? Did you check the IP address of where it came from? Because you could have an Instagram account and somebody could access it from Zimbabwe. Somebody could access it from Costa Rica.
So you think a hacking happened? That's why
No.
You think Tory Lanez is instant?
Hold on. No.
Interns are fighting against Tory Lanez.
Hold on. Mid-trial, when Mo went live, Tory Lanez's Instagram joined the live. You think Tory's in court joining live? He has people. He has a team.
No, I don't.
Okay, but hold on.
With access to Tory's. Why is someone with access to Tory Lanez's Instagram account defending?
No. Here's the point. Here's my point. I'm not saying you can't use that as some type of proof, but number one, you saw it a week ago before trial when you had 2 years to see it, right? Number two, you made no fucking effort to try to at least go out of your way to prove that he's the actual one that posted it, or within what context?
I don't think they needed that because ultimately it wasn't Kelsey that was on trial. It was Tory Lanez on trial because, again, going back to the main thing.
You're the one who brought it up, brother. You're the one who brought it up just now.
Pretty open and shut.
Bro, oftentimes, he argue like a bitch, bro. He brings up shit that doesn't even make sense to the point, and then he asks questions about it, not listen to the reason why it doesn't make sense. And then he'll be the nigga who brought it up in the first place. You can't argue with these people because they ain't trying to listen to you. They believe what they believe,
Cops
and they keep
not
it
very good
going.
at their jobs.
Like, you
Okay,
just ran around in a
I can't
circle,
talk
and
about
had
feds.
to
I don't
keep
know how
stopping
Myron
you
was,
and
but
tell you, like, why is this? Why is that? What's 2 + 2? 4. Why is this 2 + 2 is 4? I'm like, bro, I really gotta explain it to you. All right, cause of that. So why would that be that then? I'm just like, come on, bro. Like,
clearly he wasn't
come
that
on,
good.
bro.
'Cause now he's
Do you
doing a
wanna
fucking
answer? Do you
POA
wanna
podcast.
speculate?
Hassan, you have to
However,
run for you
okay.
have to run for like for office, brother.
However,
Yo, Hassan, I've never
this is
seen
one of the
anyone.
instances where it literally
Nigga said
does
a
seem
nothing
like
burger,
they
bro.
had
He
a
just
lot of
says
fucking,
nothing.
a lot of evidence, right?
Yo,
Like, I
brother,
mean,
I've
holy
never
shit, they
seen
had the
someone
witness who
move like a
survived.
politician more than you. Brother, you gotta run for office. Like the way you're able to duck out of shit.
What do you mean? There's five points.
Anytime we hold you to a point, you
and then
move to
don't
another
remember
one.
what you're
And then when we try to
Moving
get
the
you there,
goalposts like a
you
bitch.
flip to this other thing. Then
Bro,
we
your
say,
counter was someone from Zimbabwe might have fucking controlled his account. The reason
didn't
why
say that.
they didn't
He
even
said
have
that-
to fucking find this is because they already had
Bro,
five
bro.
points of evidence that
In
was
any
so
crime,
damning
hold on.
in a
See, no,
situation.
Wait. Hold on.
Nigga,
Hassan, this is where you're
Megan
being
Thee
stupid.
Stallion.
This is where you're being stupid. You cover all type of shit, even if you're covering like the search warrants that was like executed in
This
Mar-a-Lago.
why- this
Come
why
on,
niggas can't
you
be
know
alive,
if you're
bro.
gonna
Niggas
use
by the time he
someone's
has to
social
pre-record
media
YouTube
writings and
videos,
presence, nigga, at least
and edit certain
motherfucking
points
execute a
out, but
warrant.
when he actually- when
Instagram
niggas
is gonna
like
show
this,
you
they got-
exactly
on
where it
a
came from.
live
They
setting,
took
they
a
do not forward.
screenshot from the shade room. Is that what you want the fucking government to be putting people in jail for? That's all I'm trying to say. They found a screenshot a week
Again,
ago when it
the
came
reason
out
why
2
they didn't
years ago.
conduct that
Yeah,
level
like,
of
come
investigation
on.
on that regard was because,
my God.
again, it wasn't. There was no like
moving the
Kelsey is
goalposts
the
again.
actual shooter theory. There was no evidence that Kelsey was the actual shooter. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was also
I'm
Kelsey's
trying to say
own
I'm not
fucking
going
text
to
message
consider evidence.
saying,
I'm not going to
911 Tory
consider
shot Meg.
evidence if the police haven't done their due diligence and done their fucking job. You want us to consider some shit off Instagram? At least fucking run a warrant, okay? At least get the information in a right format that the jury could have some validation
Yeah,
to the
bro.
shit you're presenting.
Niggas
You're
can't be on
presenting shit like a
TikTok.
blog.
A police officer cannot be on
Unfortunately,
TikTok
academics has
taking
no
Megan Thee
like,
Stallion
you know, I have no,
interviews as
there's no like fucking, oh,
And then
you
when
have
you
to
put
meet
it
this
on
bar
trial,
that
Dennis,
it could
you
be
understand
published.
they didn't need to
She
do that
said-
because
But they
Nothing,
presented
you know.
it in court.
Then that is
Yeah,
crazy.
you're
But
using
they
it as
didn't-
part of
but
your
you know that
argument.
They didn't need to do that.
But you're
you know
hold on,
what I
they
mean? Like,
presented
they
it
didn't
in
need
court.
to. You understand why I'm saying?
I hear what
they
you're
didn't
saying,
need
but
to,
you're
right?
you're actually relying on it to make your point. So if they didn't need to do it, why are you relying on it to make your point?
Exactly.
Don't use it.
I'm bringing
No,
it
no
up
fucking
because
sense.
I think that it's already in. There's already enough evidence, as I've shown time and time again, as to why I feel the way I do about the situation.
feel that
I'm not
way,
even getting
but
emotional
like,
about this.
Here's the
It
point.
seems like you are.
No.
Let me take this, bro. Let me take this.
Yo, stop. I love you, by the way. Like I like the Bobby Weed.
Attacks, which is fantastic. But you know what? Let's go over each piece of evidence and actually talk about each piece of evidence with facts versus you making jokes ad hominem attacks. Number one, the jail call. He never actually admits to shooting at Meg. He's just profusely apologizing. The text message. Kelsey says, "Oh, Tory shot Meg." When they tried to bring in the witness to actually receive the text message so they can get some context, he didn't want to come in and testify. I wonder why. Also, the text messages between Meg and Tory, we don't necessarily know if he was apologizing for outing Meg Thee Stallion and her promiscuity in the past along with her friend, or if he was apologizing for Kelsey and Meg fist fighting because starting that conversation initiated the fist fight, or her getting shot. We don't know what he was apologizing for.
Yeah, but you're making an inference. You are the one who's making an inference off of that, though.
What do you? I'm inference off of what exactly?
Like you are using that, like that in and of itself, apologies in and of itself, depending on which state you're in, are not admissible as evidence in court because of the things that you just mentioned, right? Like, from what I understand, I don't think they're admissible as evidence in court. I'm not using that as like evidence. I'm telling you that in and of itself, when we're having a conversation between normal human beings, is kind of odd. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's a weird thing to say when there's a much larger situation at play, right? What I mean by that is this: if someone is shot in your vicinity, oftentimes you would probably talk about that rather than apologize for like your own personal actions that are completely unrelated to that situation,
No, they
right?
are
That's what I was saying. Because if you were in that similar circumstance, you would probably bring up the shooting rather than fucking apologize for a minor argument that you had.
Let me finish my point. The reason why, okay, he apologized. There's so many different reasons he could be apologizing for. It could be for them getting in a fight. It could be for him revealing Meg's promiscuous past. It could be for Kelsey hitting her or whatever it may be, her getting shot, him not wanting to leave.
That's the main point of contention. That's the main point of consideration.
That is the main point of consideration. Of course, though, you got to look at all the other underlying facts as to what he could be apologizing for. He could be apologizing for hitting on Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, that's why I said like common sense, right? Like that's why I said if someone was shot and it was completely outside of your control, you wouldn't say, "Oh man, I'm sorry that things got out of hand." You'd say, "That's crazy that she shot you."
He can't say that, Hassan, because he's a rapper and his ability, right, to sell records and make music is
come on. We're making a lot of inferences that are like
it's common sense, bro.
That's true.
How is that common sense, bro? What the fuck? If he's a rapper, why is he apologizing?
Hold on. Hassan, I could cite about 5 other cases. I could cite 5 other cases where a rapper who should have knew information about what actually happened, even if it happened to their own friend, just shut up. Most notably, Busta Rhymes, who his bodyguard, one of his best friends, got killed. The bodyguard's mom was crying in court, "Hey, why don't you cooperate?" He didn't say anything. That's just what it is. Like, this is the culture. We got to understand it.
He's not snitching, but there's a difference between, like, saying it in court and saying it to the person that you're having a conversation with. If you're having a text message conversation at that time, when you think that, like, you have an ongoing relationship with that person, so much so that you're trying to fix it by apologizing to them, you would probably fucking, still feel comfortable enough to be like, how crazy is it that Kelsey shot you?
Hold on. Yo, Hassan, you keep neglecting the point I made. One of the conversations, right, is Tory incarcerated calling on a jail phone. Why would he say anyone's name? You think he's in YSL? No, he's not going to say anything. Hey, I'm sorry this has happened like that. No more details, no more, no little, whether it was you or not. If you ask anybody from the urban hip-hop culture, they would probably say you shouldn't even make the call.
Yeah.
Whether you had remorse or not.
And also, Lasan, I think you don't know a culture like that in terms of like hip hop and the whole rap industry. However, if he snitched in the very beginning, this would all be settled. He didn't say anything because he knew his career is on the line. Now, regarding that as well,
his career is still on the line because he didn't really have a career. Let's be real, but 2016 is the last time he was popping off. But
Tory's a big ass artist. What are you talking about? He's huge.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about that.
You might not listen to someone does not necessarily negate the fact that.
Can I ask something? Your co-host, how old is he?
How old are you thinking I am, bro?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but like you said, Lasan, so I assume like 14.
Is that your name, bro?
Bro, come on, dude. You are a whole grown-ass man fucking using memes that 14-year-old white boys use on the internet. That is fucking embarrassing. Not to dismiss everything about you, but god damn. You think that's a good first impression, dog? That is fucked up. Holy shit. You got a whole ass show for yourself, too?
You're still wrong, bro. It's just hilarious, bro. The chat's laughing at you right now.
Go back. Talk about how Chad is defending you.
Let's go back to the facts.
Damn, dude.
Phone calls, okay? He never overtly said, "Hey, sorry for shooting you." And there's a bunch of situations that he could have apologized for. So that's number one. So we don't know exactly what he was apologizing for. And keep in mind, Hassan, it is on the prosecution to prove that Tory is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's ambiguous. It isn't clear. Then on top of that, we got gunshot residue not only on Tory, but we have it on Kelsey as well. Not to mention that Kelsey and Meg Thee Stallion got in a full-on fledged fist fight prior to the shots going off. That is a fact that's been confirmed by Kelsey, and it got confirmed by Sean Kelly. Kelsey downplayed and said it was just a bump. However, they were 100% fist fighting to the point where a pendant was found on the
We already talked about Sean Kelly's testimony being inconsistent. I don't know if you were there for that, but did he wake up to gunshots, or was he just parked on the fucking street, just watching the street for no reason, and then happened to be a scuffle there?
Also admitted they fought though. So that's what solidifies it. Kelsey also admits they fought. She downplayed and said it was just a bump, but the evidence shows otherwise. Your nail and everything. If someone just bumped you, your nail wouldn't fall off and your pendant. They were full on fist fighting.
I mean, look, I don't know the exact details, you know? I mean, hey,
look. You don't know the details and you're talking. That's the problem.
That's the point. Yeah,
yo, Hassan.
Well,
you're
I know
exactly. They're talking at your ass.
And I know that there was enough evidence.
Out of your wheelhouse here.
You can say that all you want, but it doesn't seem like it, especially with this 3v1 situation. You guys still look really silly, ultimately. They might be saying something different in your chat right now, but, you know, outside of your hug box, I doubt that is what's going on. Now, having said that, how is this your wheelhouse? I do not know. I mean, you're a Fed, and you don't even fucking understand how the Fifth Amendment works, so maybe that's good that you're no longer a Fed, probably.
Here's the thing, bro. The Fifth Amendment only works if
there's a Supreme Court case, dog. What the fuck are you talking about? There's literally
You need reasonable expectation that you can be culpable criminally to be able to assert the Fifth. Because if that was the case, right? If that was the case, then everyone would just be like, oh, I'm just going to stay silent, and no one would talk in court.
Facts.
Dude, I'm losing my mind. If the Fifth Amendment worked in the way that, dude, I know you have like cop brain, right? Because you're like you can't get out of the cop situation.
Hold on, wait.
It would literally imply that everyone who pleads the Fifth would be guilty.
Hassan,
it would ruin the Fifth Amendment.
Wait, Hassan, real quick, because I notice you do this a lot. Like you throwing mad ad hominem attacks. Like I think he's getting straight at least on mine. He's getting straight at whatever the points are.
It's
you throwing like
no. I'm not even saying
lose
it a little bit. I was respectful in the beginning, but
wait. At this point, I'm not even saying anything.
Your fucking 40-year-old co-host called me Lazan like he's a fucking child. Come on, don't talk to me about ad homs right now.
Federal agent, bro. How old are you? 12? Nigga, he's serving our country. You making fun of him? You're lame, bro. Dead ass. So you making fun? Oh, Lasan. Nigga, that's your fucking name. Lasan.
Oh, dude.
Thank
you.
Hold on, but Hassan, you know what I mean, though, right? Like,
thank you for serving our country.
Hold on, Hassan.
Thank you.
The point I'm trying to say, right? Because you're right.
I've witnesses. I've been in federal court several times. I've testified hundreds of times. I have more experience.
You still don't understand the Fifth Amendment? That's crazy to me. Like, that is actually crazy.
No. You don't understand the Fifth Amendment.
Facts.
You cannot randomly assert the Fifth Amendment unless you have reasonable expectation that those statements that you're about to give can incriminate you. That is the same exact reason why Gunna will not be able to use the Fifth Amendment.
You keep bringing up Gunna. This is unrelated. You can literally plead the Fifth regardless.
I mean, both are
okay?
state
You can plead the Fifth regardless. It is the law. Okay, it is a right that you have. It's not even the law. It's a right. It's a constitutionally protected right.
Contempt of court. You can be. There's issues that could arise from that if you don't actually. If there's no reason
oh my God.
used against you.
Yeah, for real. Like,
that's what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say, but you're wrong. And I told you that there is a Supreme Court case on this exact issue that you're talking about. It does. I also literally gave you the exact reason as to why it doesn't work that way. Because if it worked that way, then everyone would just assume you're guilty all the time, every single time you pled the Fifth, which would literally destroy the Fifth Amendment in general.
Hassan, that wasn't his point, and even when I said that wasn't my point, right? Is of course pleading the Fifth Amendment, right?
No,
pleading the Fifth doesn't
you're actually that she is guilty.
No.
Adding additional reasons as to why she might be guilty. You're speculating why she might be guilty. And saying that's enough for reasonable doubt. Of course it's not enough for reasonable doubt.
I know me particularly said that
original testimony.
I know me in particular said that by pleading the Fifth, you could infer that that person believes that maybe something they could say could be used to prosecute them.
I know, but the jury cannot deliberate off of that. They can't make inferences in the same way that you are currently. Okay? So if you want to tell your audience, you want to educate your audience on how it actually works.
This nigga say you can't make inference on this shit. It's fucking evidence. There is no inference. It's on testimony witness account, and if she's not talking, there's no inference. All they can do is put one nigga in jail. Like what? Oh my gosh, this nigga, bro. He takes everything for face value. I hope nothing ever happens to him where he's in a situation where like information is faulty, but you can kind of tell what's going on, and he just like, well, you have to tell me what's going on, and if it like comports with what I think is going on, it's just like this nigga just I don't know, bro. Some niggas, I feel like some niggas just like socially or like don't get it, like they don't get it, like bro.
works instead of
yourself out of it, bro.
listening to Myron and his assessment of the matter. The reality is that when someone pleads the fifth, you cannot assume that they are possibly guilty. Myron is absolutely wrong.
Hold on.
Speculate that someone is guilty.
Hassan.
Because Tory Lanez is the one on trial, not Kelsey, bro.
Exactly.
Okay?
No, it literally doesn't matter. You're wrong.
Yes, it does.
An innocent party. No, that's not true. You're wrong. You're just wrong. You do not understand the law that you are supposedly protecting at the point.
Yo, dude, well,
You're just wrong.
Hassan, the only person that can assert that Fifth Amendment without being judged is Tory Lanez because he is the one on trial, not Kelsey. If that was the case, Kelsey would not have asked for immunity. That is the difference, and the jury can absolutely use the fact that she took the Fifth Amendment in their deliberation.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, like we know cops are bad at fucking knowing the law, right? But I really thought feds would be a little bit better at this. You are wrong. It does not matter if she's on trial or not. She, as an innocent third party, absolutely has the right to plead the fifth because she thinks she might be. It doesn't matter for what reason, okay?
Hey, by the way,
and the jury
Hassan,
cannot deliberate or infer or speculate any sort of guilt off of that. Because if that was the case, then you would undermine the entire reason behind why the Fifth Amendment exists to begin with.
How about I bring a lawyer in here and show you that you're wrong?
Ooh.
How about I bring a lawyer?
Yo, Hassan. Two things
you want, but it's the Constitution and the Supreme Court case, Ohio v. Reiner, is pretty fucking clear on this.
So
it doesn't matter what a lawyer is going to tell me.
Hassan, okay.
4v1,
No, hold on. Wait. Hassan, I'm just mentioning the fact, right? So in the closing by George, which is Tory's lawyer, he did ask the jury to consider why did she need to plead the fifth? Or need immunity, actually. Need immunity, right? So they brought that up, and also I probably forgot the first thing I was trying to say. So after she got immunity, like the judge, she did try to plead the fifth while on the stand still, and the judge forced her to answer a few things. So
yeah, I just understand, like, Hassan, just to make this very clear, you're telling us that you've never been in the courtroom yourself, telling us about the Fifth Amendment, and you have an ex-Fed here telling you to your face what it is. This is a dumb argument, bro. I mean, you're not
I really hate to say this, but yes. First of all, yes. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation doesn't change when you tell me that someone has been a Fed, and that is the reality. Like I know you're trying to desperately at least like create some position of authority here, but that doesn't change the reality of what I'm telling you. Yes.
You're Googling answers, bro.
And it is surprising. It is surprising to me as well. I mean, okay, yeah, I'm a Googling expert, I guess, but ultimately, I'm still correct, and you're still incorrect. And also, you're not the Fed, so I don't know what the fuck we're even talking about this circumstance. I'd rather be a Googling expert that is correct than be the second in command next to a Fed who is incorrect.
You're still wrong, though. Like, what do you?
Okay, I'm beginning to like.
Hold on. Yo, by the way,
you're dope.
I feel like
you're fucking dope. You're dope.
By the way, I feel like the whole conversation has
you're
been,
dope. You're dope.
The whole conversation has been derailed about this one particular meeting, and like
it's a big piece of your argument is that like her testimony was like inconsistent.
You mean Myron's argument? You guys were having a back and forth right there. I was allowing that to happen. That was part of his argument. But like even without that being said, I mean, are you saying that if he can't argue that his point was were invalid?
What point?
The point that he was arguing with you about why her testimony, number one, might just look a little shaky.
She's not a credible witness, son. At the end of the day, bro, she's not a credible witness is my main point.
I don't agree with that. I think that she was a credible she was initially when the investigation was being conducted, she was absolutely a credible witness. She might have changed her perspective for reasons that she also included having postpartum stress, postpartum disorder, being depressed because of a death in the family. But ultimately, her new testimony is less, which wasn't anything. It was just her pleading the fifth, is less conclusive than her original testimony, which is why they played the original testimony in court.
But she admitted on the stand, she said they asked her on the stand, hey, is Tory,
you're pulling her less credible moments now rather than the moments where she had more clarity back then when she talked to the cops.
Well, I'm going to rely on when she's under oath. I'm going to rely on when she's under oath rather than when she's doing a phone interview with and it's not the cops, it's the prosecutor. She never talked to the cops because the lead detective got put on administrative leave. She was going to show up via subpoena. They postponed it to December, and because they haven't talked to her in such a long time, because they've been requesting to try to talk to her, they say, hey, let's get something on record. And that's when the prosecutors, who you could ask Myron, even though you feel like he's not credible, you could ask, the prosecutors actually do these interviews frequently with people who are considered witnesses, or is it an agent or a detective? You get what I mean? This whole thing, even from the detective,
prosecutors are literally just another arm of the criminal justice system alongside cops. They're not in contention with one another. They are, unless we're talking about very unique instances where they're prosecuting a cop.
That's not how information is usually gathered when you're.
And
about
also,
to go
she
to
didn't
trial.
recant any of her prior testimony. She only said, like you also pulled up, that she does not want to offer any testimony now. That's it.
By the way, she
can't recall.
Okay, all right. So if you're mentioning
a lot of the things that she had said, and a lot of things
if you're mentioning that, how about we also mention that she also said on the stand that when they asked her, "Hey, are you intimidated by Tory being here?" She said no. Are you intimidated by whatever? She says she's only felt pressure coming from the prosecutors. That's why they had a sidebar right after the jury left, and the prosecutor basically said in open court that they felt offended that, they're being accused of trying to either coerce a witness, which they believe they didn't do. Then they later got permission to play her initial interview. And they got permission to play the interview to show that she was not under duress when she gave it. But what did she say in court? She said if she was feeling uncomfortable, it was because of the pressure from the prosecutor. I get it. You are selective with what you're going to believe. And,
No, I'm just telling you. No, I'm not selective with what I'm going to believe. First of all, you're doing the exact.
He's very selective on what he's going to believe. But yeah, this nigga argue like a bitch. He's not listening to anything that's been stated in court and why it was stated. He just understands that it was stated. So he's not trying to understand the reason why, and then he'll ask a question, why would that be the case? And then, from a standpoint of what the person's coming from, or why would they do something? Of course, if you're in court, you would want to incriminate yourself, but if you're not the one getting prosecuted, why would you stay silent? Especially if somebody shot at you and your friends. If a point detail were to come out, unless the original testimony, what they used to convict them was that he shot her, which is not the case. And since they have no evidence, since she was a star witness, is that fact that he's going to jail for that. Whenever the feds pick up a case, somebody got to go to jail. It sucks. But, Rock Nation got that, bro. Rock Nation got a dub. They told that nigga not to say nothing. And he kind of really did it. But, hey, got him 22 years, bro. It be like that. Don't fuck with the industry. All right, y'all boys, stay safe. Praise God. Pray